This is an easy assignment for me today because I get to introduce one of your club members who's been involved with our school. But before I do that, let me just give a shout out to this wonderful Rotary Club that I know does so much great work in our community. I'm thrilled that members of your club are also on our staff at Westminster. Our Judy Fang and Nancy Brown and my former colleague, Sophia Keller, who I see is heading up the big scholarship activity for you, all good Rotarians and part of the Westminster family. I'm also accompanied by two of our trustees that I'm pleased to have with me today, Preston Chiara, who's our vice chair of our board, and Bill Trojan. These are two trustees that are involved in this project and are very connected to our Hurst School of Business. I have a great job being the president of this 142-year-old institution. And next, in 2 weeks, we'll graduate 850 students from our institution. And I love the opportunity to celebrate these accomplishments. They're all about to come your way into the workforce. They'll come well prepared and ready to go. And then we'll be admitting next fall their replacements. It's this constant cycle of having young people come and discover their true potential. It's a neat business to be involved in. The development of human potential. That's really what we do at Westminster. I'm struck as I look out over the audience how many of you have connections with our school. You had sons or daughters or went through yourself, so I give a special shout out to you. When I think about service above self that Christian mentioned, and even the service that your good president, Shahab Saeed, demonstrates, we're also proud to have him involved with our school. His good wife, Jan, is our director of spiritual life. And Saeed helps our business school and runs a wonderful program called Master Track. It's a very intensive mentorship program. So tremendous service both ways on the part of Rotary to Westminster and Westminster back to Rotary. Can you imagine if you could enthuse students to create companies where service was one of the key parts of their business model? That's really what today's discussion is all about. How do we take this idea of service? And in our school, it's a core quality of a Westminster education is to be learned by serving. So last year, almost 90,000 hours were donated to various causes, in particular South Salt Lake, by students of Westminster. I'm really proud of what students learn by serving. A lot of our students today have that entrepreneurial spirit. They want to create their own companies. It's a little different than when I graduated, where I went to work for a firm or a company. Students today want to do their own thing. And I'm thrilled that we have that kind of entrepreneurial approach in the Hurst School of Business. We're thrilled that Tom Thatcher, one of your members, got associated with us several years ago because he also has a passion for service. And he wanted to figure out a way to connect this entrepreneurship spirit of helping young people take it to the next level. In essence, incubate or create businesses that have social impact in our community. That's really what started this dream of having this social impact incubator at Westminster College. Your good Rotarian, Tom Thatcher, is the manager and founder of Intuitive Funding, whose mission is social impact. And Intuitive Funding is the one who have founded our Social Impact Incubator, which will have its grand opening in September. We've actually created the space. And when the students return in the fall, we will have an up and running impact incubator. And if you don't know what that is, you'll know by the end of our presentation. And it fits so well with our goals of teaching service by learning, global consciousness, ethical awareness, social responsibility. Those are core values of Westminster education. As you know, Tom previously served as a manager of Thatcher Pharmaceutical, and the Thatcher family is a wonderful contributor to our community. They've done so much at the University of Utah. And they do a lot in our community, and they're starting to do things at our school. And Tom served there for over 28 years. He left in 2012 and started Intuitive Funding. He's, as you know, a man who practices what he preaches, and that is service. He's been chairman of the International Committee for Rotary International for 5 years, and has been a member of this club for 24 years. And while he was serving as the chair of the International Committee, this club was awarded a 3H grant from from Rotary International for $650,000 to do service work in Bolivia. That grant was matched by the Santa Cruz community to service and support to provide over $1 million for service projects involving over 40 communities, focusing on health, humanities, and hunger. And I think it was that project that Tom worked on that inspired him to do things at our school. He's a past member of the March of Dimes board. He's a current board member of the Utah Symphony and the University of Utah College of Science. And he's a proud member of an organization I call the President's Innovation Network of Westminster. He's received the Heart and Hands Award for Community Service, the Rotary Fellowship Award, the Paul Harris Fellowship, and the Distinguished Alumni Award at the University of Utah in their chemistry department. I actually attended that ceremony. It was wonderful. And after serving an LDS mission in Japan a few years ago, he earned a BA in chemistry with a minor in Japanese, all at the University of Utah, and then got an MBA from BYU. He's been married to Kathy for 30 years, and I see Kathy here with us today. The most important person, I believe, in his life. He appreciates her example of community service. They really are a partnership. And they have 3 daughters and 1 son. Any of you know Tom, you know he loves to play golf. I play golf with him, and he has a handicap that's in that very ideal number, and a real pleasure to play with. He reads, he travels, he spends a lot of time with his family, and it's really his desire to foster and inspire young people to give back. And so that's what this is all about. I'm proud that he's a partner with us, and look forward to, well, I introduced him with great pride.
Thank you, everybody. It's great to be here. The president said, well, the motivation was maybe the situation with the service that I did in Bolivia and those types of things. Actually, as you see there, I'm playing golf at the beautiful Harbor Town Golf Resort. And I don't know if any of you played it, but it's just an absolutely wonderful golf course. And after I left the Thatcher company, I kind of was confused about what should I do with my life and how I should kind of move on. So I thought the idea of, what about a single-digit handicap? I've always really wanted to do that. And if I got a single-digit handicap, I go for a year, I get a single-digit handicap, and then I wouldn't have to play as much. However, I have a beautiful wife who says, sorry, nothing bad. And so she's really my motivation, because basically she says, I've just got the perfect tombstone for you, so she's going to put it up. Here lies Thomas Thatcher, beloved husband and father, who left Thatcher Company and spent the rest of his life trying to become a scratch golfer. So I appreciate my dear wife and how she really keeps me on track and of all the service and everything that she does. But what happened is that I decided that I wanted to try to create a charitable organization. So I created a fund, and that fund I put a lot of my own personal money in that I accumulated over the years. And then I got a wonderful corporate sponsorship from Thatcher Company over a 20-year basis, which really was helpful. And then we had other income. And I want to, with that, we were able to create intuitive funding, and I'm so excited about the people of intuitive funding that before I go into the explanation of how all this happened, I'd like to introduce them. So first of all, our corporate sponsor, Thatcher Company, Lawrence Thatcher, who's the CEO and founder. If you please stand. He is a young 93 years old. He just got honored by the governor just last month for his service to the community. Craig Thatcher, who's the president of Thatcher Company. And Terry Flanders, who is on the board of directors and one of the owners. And her daughter, Laura Flanders, and my wife, Kathy Thatcher. And then I have the best financial and foundation advisors that anyone can ask for. My chief financial advisor is Stephen G. Williams, if you'll please stand. My chief foundation advisor is Stephen R. Williams. Basically, you have to be an advisor of intuitive funding, you have to have the name Steve Williams. And then I have a wonderful marketing person who has such expertise, who has such talent, Elise Bassett. Would you please stand? And then, of course, we have a great partner with Westminster College, and I want to make sure that we acknowledge as many as we can here. So Steve Morgan, the president, if you please stand. We have Alyssa Kerner, who's the dean of the Hurst School of Business. She's stand. The director for the Center for Entrepreneurship, Karin Palle. And then, of course, Clifford Hurst is going to be with us. And then, can I please invite all of the trustees and advisory board of the Social Impact Center, if they would please stand. Everybody from Westminster, the trustees, and social impact. Great. So let me just tell you how this kind of started. Milton Friedman had a concept about how businesses should be run. Basically, he said that they are to churn profit out. And so he kind of came up with a model that says, you know what, we're going to take the social aspect of things and not put them a part of the company. What we're going to do is we're going to have the company make all of its profits for its operations and its growth and everything. And then we're going to let the shareholders and employees of the organization, if they want to contribute to charity or do social things, then they can do that. And so really, the whole focus was all about the buck. And that's not a bad model, because we all got to make money in business and do those things. But when you put profit at the center, then the problem is what comes outside of it. And sometimes the customer comes outside, or the employee, or the social responsibility. And then there's a possibility of having a situation like an Enron, where a company executive will cash in for $120 million, and then the next day the company will go completely bankrupt, and 20 or 30,000 people will lose jobs and everything that they saved for it. So what we wanted to do was look at more of the social model. This was popular by Muhammad Yunus, and I learned more about that when I was in Berlin at the social conference to learn about what this idea of social business is. But basically what social business does is it takes the social aspect and it incorporates it to the company right from the first. Then the company, as it goes in and makes the profit and goes and does the operations and puts it to shareholders, employees, then the social aspect is taken care of. And in this model, the real focus is all about people and solving problems. Not that the profit and everything is not important, but it's a whole type of different concept. So when you have this type of thing, then your target is, what are we trying to solve? What is our mission? What is it that we are, as a business, trying to solve other than just making money? And then as the other things come in, when you talk about profit in the social world, you talk it from the concept of sustainability. So we're certainly trying to earn a profit, and we're certainly trying to pay back to the investors, but we're doing it on a basis of sustainability and more about the cause rather than about the buck. And then when you take the rest of those things into the circle, you can see then that the profit is not greater than the customer. The profit does not overrule people, and the profit doesn't take over the social aspects or the ethical side. And I want to compliment one of our Rotarians, Quinn McKay, who wrote a book about the ethics of business, because we need to incorporate a social aspect in everything that we do, so that not only are we good business people, but become very responsible to the community. So what we did on the situation of intuitive funding then is we said, okay, we're going to take our base investment. We've got this fund from our donations and our contributors, and we're going to create a give strategy. So we have created a foundation, and also we do a build strategy. And we have created a foundation, and we have right now, in our 2-year period, given up to 25 charities and organizations. And we have a little different method than just straight giving. We try to work with the charities, we try to get in and see what their structure is, we try to help them, we provide them service. In our building mode, we go in and we work on the entrepreneurial side, and our entrepreneurial side is based on the ability of working with startup companies. And so we partnership with people like Boom Startup or the Salt Lake Angels Group, and we entertain about 10 to 12 companies a month and try to invest in those. So far in our 2-year period, we've invested in about 25 of startup companies, and we've done everything from nanotechnology to your cell phones to finding ways to detect genes at an early stage to avoid cancer, and doing many other wonderful projects. But we've always wanted to focus on the idea that our goal is social impact and that we want to feed the ecosystem. So the better managers we are of our fund, the better managers, the better foundation we can give, and the more entrepreneurial we can give. And so in our situation with our allocation, at the end of every year, we take whatever's in that fund, whatever we earn. We take whatever in that fund and whatever we've earned. And so we take 10% right off for foundation work. We use our base investment of 80% that we use with just regular stock market and stocks. And then we take 10% on the level for our entrepreneurship. So what our model becomes is that we'll take a piece of this, and we want to try to do more of what Muhammad Yunus said than what Friedman said, of the idea of putting something into a social cause, some business or some idea that we can help develop that will bring solve a social problem. And so when we tried to do that and we tried to follow the model, we were going along, and the only problem that we had was we had a question, and we said, how do we exactly do that? How can I get into a social aspect rather than just straight giving money or whatever? And so we felt that there had to be a structure in order to create this social impact. And that structure was Westminster College. And through Westminster College and their entrepreneurship program, we found a vehicle where we could create an incubator setup, an incubator system that would allow people with social ideas to come into this incubator and be tutored and mentored and helped, so that we could see if we could help their social idea become a workable business model. And so I want to, before going on further, really make sure that I don't forget 3 people who were very instrumental in this. One was Stephanie Stedler, who I knew at Boom Startup in Utah, who had a degree in social enterprise and knew a lot about social systems. She was the first one that really introduced me to this idea of the acceleration or the incubation concept. And then Mark Weierstahl, who was a really good golf buddy of mine. I cannot say enough about this guy. He is one of the most wonderful guys I know on the planet. And he took many months with me and lots of time to really help me understand, because when I had done with Stephanie and we were going to go in this together and that fell through, I went to Mark and I said, man, I just don't know what to do here. And Mark says, well, come to Westminster. And so then that's how that all started. And then the one that really helped us on the incubation, Clifford, Hurst, that you're going to be hearing from real soon. So we have three basic mottos in our company that we go by. The first one is the lessons of the widow's mite and the idea of giving. I was in Seattle and heard about the Kauffman Foundation. Their net worth is $2 billion. I was listening to 60 Minutes and heard about Bloomberg. His net worth is $48 billion. Now, we're not that type of size. We'll probably never ever be that type of size, but it doesn't matter, because we learned from the Bible exactly kind of what Jesus said when he said, he called unto his disciples and said unto them, verily I say unto you that this poor widow hath cast more than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast all in their abundance, but she of her want did cast, did she have all of her living. So our motto is, it doesn't matter how small, it's about our impact. And we then use the idea of the mustard seeds. It's not the size that matters. And for things that are very small, big things can occur. And if you look at anybody's wealth or anybody's business or whatever, it always started from a small idea or whatever. And I know Thatcher Company started from, what, the kitchen table, right? With an idea on a napkin. That's how that got all started. And then we use the idea of the broken pottery. A lady came to a person, she had a pottery vase, and she went in and it broke. And so she went to this very expert Japanese dealer, and he said, she said, would you please fix this? So he said, okay, I will. And so he did fix it and returned it to her. And she said, well, I'm not really that happy. And he says, well, why not? And he says, well, because you've just outlined everywhere it was broken and basically where it was all fractured. So he said to her, well, do you have another vase? And she said, yes, I do. He said, let me try again. So this time he tried again, and he then took all of the broken pieces and interwove it to the whole design. And the whole message of this is basically, when we involve ourselves in the building process, we see our broken pieces and faults in a different way. And so what I really want to leave with you, and I want to leave with the district governor here, as I'm talking to him now, is that we do have this beautiful concept of service above self. But can we also maybe add giving above self, so that we understand really what that true principle is all about? Because as one famous person said, giving is not just about making donations, it's about making a difference. Thank you very much. I want to introduce a really good friend of mine, Clifford Hurst, who is a PhD. Cliff Hurst is an associate professor of management at the Bill and B. Gore School of Business at Westminster College in Salt Lake City. He teaches entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship at the graduate and undergraduate levels. He is proud to have been instrumental in introducing Westminster's new minor in entrepreneurship, and has been deeply involved with the idea of opening the Westminster new Social Impact Incubator, known as the Hatchery. And I can tell you, he has spent a lot of hours making this project work. He brings to the teaching profession more than 24 years of experience as an independent organizational development consultant. He is an affiliate of the Center for the Innovative Cultures at Westminster College, and is a regular facilitator of tools and best practices workshops for the center. Cliff's research interests center upon the study of how entrepreneurs think. Cliff is a member of the board of directors of the Robert S. Hartzman Institute and is co-editor of the Journal of Formal Mixology, Theory, and Practice. He earned his BA from the University of Virginia and his MA and PhD from Fielding Graduate University. He and his wife, Dana, have lived in Salt Lake City since 2012. And I want to tell you, my own personal, this is a really good guy. You know why I know he's a good guy? Because he has a dog, and the dog is treated better than Prince William. You know, when you treat a dog well, you're a really good guy. Everybody, please welcome Dr. Cliff Hurst.
If I'd known he'd say that, I would have brought Harvey with me, but Harvey's at home. Bear with me, I'm not a Mac user. Upper right. Here? Well, Palle gets set up here. I just want you to know I was born and raised in Georgia. Do we have any other Southerners in the room? Okay, so you may help translate this when I want to say I'm all fired up about an initiative we have going on at Westminster College right now. And my intention today is to share with you, I'd like to raise 3 questions and share our answers with you. 1, why an incubator? 2, why a social impact incubator? And 3, why at Westminster? But I want to do it in that particular order. I get started while she does that. Entrepreneurship was introduced to the curriculum at Westminster, started in 2006. When I came to the college in 2012, we had already a very robust and rigorous entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship program in the MBA level. Over the past 6 years, I'm very happy to say we've now introduced entrepreneurship across the curriculum to undergraduates. We have a new minor in entrepreneurship. So that if you have a son or a daughter who wants to come to Westminster to follow their passion, whether that be drama or music or chemistry or environmental science, they can now minor in entrepreneurship. But something was missing. You can only teach entrepreneurship in the classroom so long. You can only get so far with it. And as I look at our curriculum, I thought, this is sort of like teaching students to swim using PowerPoint. And then upon graduation, showing them where the pool is. So we've had no opportunity to get out of the classroom until now. And now with the opening of our Social Impact Incubator, we have the opportunity to introduce our students to the pool, if you will, while they're still students, and invite alumni and others from the community back in to learn entrepreneurship, not by textbook, not by lecture, not by case study, but by doing it yourself. At least you're a good sport. Thank you. I've already given my punchline. So that's where we were until now. And our new Social Impact Incubator allows us to put our feet on the street and help these startups actually work in the real world. Now, you might be wondering, why an incubator? Because there are a lot of terms used for various other ways to help startups. Some of the most common terms are maker spaces, accelerators, and incubators. A makerspace is a place for tinkerers. A makerspace is where you don't have a business objective, you don't have any outcome in mind, you just want to do creative things and see what pops up. And I'm excited, by the way, we will soon also open a Makers Lab on the Westminster campus. But it would interfere with the creativity if you try to get too specific of a business outcome in a makerspace. So we're going to have an incubator, which is in the middle. On the far right of your slide, you see accelerators. And a lot of people talk about accelerators today because of the fame of Y Combinator, the most successful entrepreneurial accelerator out of San Francisco. You've ever heard of Reddit or Dropbox or Airbnb? They nurtured the launch of those big name businesses. I think accelerators are a great model for startups at the right stage in their lives. But I'm a believer of what Steve Blank said, that the definition of a startup is a temporary organization in search of a repeatable, profitable, scalable business model. Now focus on that, in search of, because an accelerator works for companies who've already found it and they're ready to grow. But where I believe the real need in the marketplace is to incubate those ideas that haven't yet figured it out. And that's what an incubator is for. Now, there's some challenges in doing it that way, and we face these challenges, I think, with our eyes open. First, a startup, when it's first hatched, is pretty ugly. Sometimes the name is wrong, sometimes the logo is off, sometimes the entrepreneur doesn't really know the market yet, and we have to accept that and work with the people where they are. There's a word in entrepreneurship called pivoting. Sometimes you need to change your business model dramatically from what you thought it would be when you started. And we want to work with the companies at that stage who need and are willing to pivot. The other reason I am so in favor of an incubator model rather than, say, the accelerator model is that the primary reason for startup failure is premature acceleration. What happens if you try to hatch an egg too fast? You get scrambled eggs. And we want to be the space with patient mentorship, patient education, patient access to capital to figure things out before you try to launch. That brings up the question then, why not just a technology incubator, Cliff? Why this focus on social impact? Well, Tom's already done a good job explaining that. Donna Shalala, who's the head of the Clinton Foundation, former president of the University of Miami, and former Secretary of Health and Human Services, put it very well. Young people today want to go to college to do more than learn how to make a living. They want to find meaning and purpose in their own lives, and they want to go to work in a place that allows them to make a difference in the world. And I believe that starting your own social impact business is one way to get meaning in life. If you're wondering what social impact actually means, come take my graduate course in it. We spend an entire semester wrestling with that issue and other people's definitions of it. Here's Cliff's 5-step definition. It's the use of startup principles and practices to create scalable change for good in the world. There are over 9,000 nonprofit charitable organizations in the state of Utah, most of which will never scale. They're doing good, but they're doing good through direct service. A social startup is a way to do good that can take business principles and scale that good to reach more and more people. The third question I invited us to address is, why Westminster? Well, this is a screenshot of the homepage of our website. I'd like to blow it up a little so you can read, especially the last sentence on this page. Students come to Westminster for this reason. Where your education is not just about landing your first job, but it's about creating a meaningful life. And I believe our Social Impact Incubator can go a long way to fulfilling that mission of Westminster College. So where are we now? Those of you who know our campus, we're pretty crowded and we're surrounded by neighborhoods on all sides. When I first went to administration and said, we'd like to open a social impact incubator, and I see a beautiful space that I think we could have, I was told, no, that's taken. And I said, well, how about this other space? Well, so that's already claimed as well. And I said, well, what about this and that? And the answer was, you're welcome to start this incubator, but you got to find a place to do it. So we went back to Tom and said, we hit a roadblock, Tom, can you help us out? And with his help and with the help of an MBA alum who now serves on our advisory board, Deb Scanchi, owns some commercial property just 2 blocks south of campus. It's a 7-story apartment building. First floor is zoned for commercial, and he has donated space for us to establish our incubator. And I was at first a bit chagrined to be off campus. Now I'm proud to be, because I believe that the companies incubated there will take it more seriously because we're in an office space, not a campus space. They're not there to learn, they're there to perform and to do. And just 2 months ago, the space looked like this. Last week, it looked like this. We're ready to start recruiting and accepting startup companies into our social impact incubator at any time. Our mission, as you see on that flyer that was set on the table, is to nurture the next generation of change makers, whether they be Westminster students, alums, or community entrepreneurs. We want to have a positive local, national, and someday a global social impact. Our vision is to pioneer and then sustain impact social incubator in a college university setting. I thought we were playing catch up when we started this. Karin and Tom just attended the annual conference of the International Business Incubator Association, and we found out that we're on the cutting edge here. There are incubators around the world. Business incubators have been here for 40 years. There are those that specialize in various things. There are food incubators. There are technology incubators. There are hospitality incubators. Within the National Incubator Association, there is no interest group or specialization in social entrepreneurship. So Karin raised her hand and said, we'll do that. We'll lead the way. Our goal is to set a standard in college-based social incubation. We won't do it alone. It's a vibrant network of organizations throughout Salt Lake that are sponsoring entrepreneurship, each in their own way. The more we network with them, the more we collaborate with them, the better, the more effective we'll all be. We're embarking on a 5-year proof of concept. If we are successful 5 years from now, we'll add one more compelling reason for students to want to come to Westminster College. In 5 years, we will have developed a financially sustainable model of our own incubator. We have a membership fee and a royalty fee that we believe, if we're successful, our companies are successful enough, we can be financially sustainable in 5 years. And once we've proven that concept, we'll go back to Steve and say, look, Steve, we can do this financially. We have a waiting list. We have more demand than supply. Give us a building on campus, or help us do that. And we'll be ready to scale ourselves. And as we do that, we want to say, how can we reach out to the global community and share what we're learning along the way? This is truly an entrepreneurial undertaking of our own. Ladies and gentlemen, we are starting small. This is an 800 square foot facility we're opening the incubator in. But already we're thinking big. That's Tom. I just want to voice how grateful we are to Intuitive Funding for founding our incubator and providing the financial support for the next 5 years. And also to Urban Heights Properties for providing us a location rent-free, a lease for 5 years for the same pilot concept. We're very, very grateful. Please come and visit us. We'd be very proud to show you Westminster College's new social impact incubator. And believe it or not, Tom, I believe we have a little time for questions or comments from the group. So Karin, if you have time to join me, you ask the question and we'll figure out who's most willing or able to answer it. Yes.
Give us an example of one project where you meet with them and how the project goes through your system.
Okay, it's still future tense.
Okay.
The question was, give me an example of how one project works with you and goes through the system. We have an application form, which invites the entrepreneur to spell out their idea, their vision, what social good it will do. And we then review that and say, do they seem to be on track? The organization does not have to be incorporated yet. They don't have to figure out their business model, but we want people who are seriously intent on doing something good. We meet with them and interview them, and if they're accepted into the program, we make a 5-year mutual commitment to each other to do all that we can to support them and provide mentorship and guidance as they get their business off the ground. And we provide co-working space at the incubator, access to our growing mentor network. We're still putting that together. And even interest from early stage seed funding from individuals. Yes?
How many hatchlings do you have right now?
0. We just finished the building literally last week, so we have just put applications out. We have some applications here. If you know a startup who wants to do something good in the world and needs some help doing it, please spread the word for us. Probably implied is that is how many could we do? We don't know. My first, Karin and I argue over this a lot. She thinks more expansively than I do. Depends partly on the number of people in the startup. I'm supposing the startup team may have 3 founders or 3 early team members. If that's the case, I believe we can incubate 5 at a time. If they don't need the space or they have to grow the space, we think we can grow that to 8 to 10 easily. Yes?
2 questions. Who defines what is socially responsible? Westminster, you,
Yeah.
people bringing it in, and do they have to be undergrad students or OWA students or students of Westminster?
Those are 2 questions, so let me answer one at a time. First of all, we are the selection committee. We have a 5-person advisory board who helps us set those parameters. There's a lot of debate in the world of social entrepreneurship about what is really social good and what is not. We have a fairly open-minded definition at this point. We anticipate incubating companies that intend to be for-profit, not-for-profit charities, as well as benefit corps or L3Cs. Probably they won't know which they ought to be until they do those for-profit. I forgot the second question.
Do they have to be students?
Oh, no, they don't. Certainly, we're most closely connected with current students. We're in the classroom and we're working with their ideas. It's also open to alumni, staff, and faculty. In fact, we're in a conversation right now with our own educational department who wants to reach out with an initiative that we think might be incubated on behalf of that department of the school and community entrepreneurs. We believe we can add value to the educational experience of our students by having startups who are not otherwise affiliated with us for laboratory research, internships, case studies, guest speakers, and so forth. So we're open to all 3. Let me ask you a question to them. Yes, sir.
Can you cite a model for us where there's a company that is scaled either to the state, national, or international level that you would describe as socially responsible? And I'm sure you'll take off the list companies that have accrued great wealth to their owners and CEOs, and those individuals are socially responsible. That's not what you're talking about. Can you tell us about a company that looks like a model?
Cotopaxi is one of my models. They're right here in Salt Lake City. They were founded here about 4 years ago. They have doing social good baked into their very core. Another role model is Even Stevens, the sandwich shop who buy one, give one, has a very well worked out model of contributing to good. Representatives from both of those are on our board of advisors. And from the nonprofit world, I have no affiliation with them, but I really admire what Habitat for Humanity has done through its restore operations. Now, Habitat for Humanity for years and years relied solely on volunteer time, donated materials, and cash donations. It's my understanding, and someone here may be more knowledgeable than I am, that in some of their market areas, the revenue generated from the restore sales, which goes right into feeding Habitat for Humanity, has made them financially self-sustaining. And I believe that's a terrific model too. Do you want to add your favorites to that?
So at Westminster, we have our Opportunity Quest, and one of my favorite winners was last year's Red Worm Collectives. And they have a social impact at their core on 2 levels. They take old books and they keep a couple of the pages and they put journal pages and they sell them as journals, so they upscale or reuse. But then on the other end, which was fantastic, is they actually have a piecemeal working system. So people who might not be able to have a regular 8 to 5 job can come and get the books, and they can feel like they have that they have meaning in the world by coming and having a job. So maybe somebody with a medical condition or a social condition. So that would be one of my favorite social impact companies, because they're doing good on so many different levels.
We have one more question before we wrap it up. Jeff?
This one's for Tom.
Uh-oh.
You indicated that your impact company has direct charities that you donate to. Are you looking at having them come in, say, the back door and engage an entrepreneur and saying, that's good for us?
No, in that case, we have the 2 branches. We have the Give and the Build branch. And so on the foundation, it's strictly on the giving side. But what we do is we get involved with the charities. We help them. We see what their structure are. We make sure that their overhead is reasonable and that the actual money is getting to the charity and get involved with them. But no, that's direct giving.
To be a good business.
If they got a business model, then great. That's a great idea. I'd love them to come over and see if they could do that. Any charity that has some social business idea would definitely fit into this model, yes.
Thanks, Tom, Clifford, and for everyone that's participated today. As is our tradition, we've got a book. If I grab this. Sidewalk Flowers. So we have a tradition in the club that we donate a book each week